A powerful voice echoes through the city streets. A new era begins now. An angry crowd roars its approval below. They scream for the execution of the summoner, Rema Karia. A shadowy figure silences them with a single declaration. The execution will proceed. The condemned man, Rema, lowers his head. His life begins to flash before his eyes. He remembers being just a boy, caught in a rockslide that ripped him from his world and threw him into another, a place of magic where he discovered his rare talent for summoning. For 3 long years he fought beside his beasts. His only goal was to defeat the Demon King and finally go home. He forged unbreakable bonds with incredible creatures, powerful companions who trusted him with their lives. And together, with sword held high, they did it. He saved the world. The king himself praised his heroism, presenting him with a medal of honor as the entire court looked on with admiration. The people celebrated his name in the streets, cheering for the hero who walked beside the young prince, finally feeling like he belonged. He recalls the simple joys, like a little girl offering him a snack, a small kindness that meant the world. He remembers true happiness, a crown of flowers on his head, and a genuine smile on his face. But that warmth is gone now. His eyes are cold, filled with a grim understanding. He kneels, bound in heavy chains. The people who once celebrated him now watch as he is about to be executed. He looks at their fearful faces and understands. They are terrified of a power great enough to defeat a demon king, and he knows it's a miracle they let him live this long. The king, whose hand once held his medal, turns his back on him now, bidding a cold and final farewell to Sir Rima. In these last moments, his thoughts are not for himself. He only thinks of his summoned beasts. He feels their magical bonds straining, and he desperately hopes they won't grow to hate this world for its betrayal. The cold steel of the executioner's blade nears. He is drowning in regret, wondering if another path could have saved him. A vision of his first companion fills his mind. There are so many things he wishes he could say, so many apologies and thanks left unspoken. The blade touches his neck. He has only a moment left for his final words. Through their bond, he sends them one last thought. He is so sorry for being so weak in the end. Tears stream down his face as he cries out for them. The cold blade falls. His life ends in betrayal. A sharp, dark line cuts through the world. He opens his eyes to a strange, clean ceiling. An IV drip stands nearby. Is this what comes after? Lying in a warm, comfortable bed, he can't help but think that the afterlife is much cozier than he ever imagined it would be. He slowly takes in his surroundings. This is a hospital room. He wonders, impossibly, if he has returned to his own world. He forces himself to sit up, his mind spinning with a dizzying, impossible question. Was that entire 3-year war, all those friends and battles, nothing more than a dream? A sudden jolt of energy courses through him. His eyes fly open in shock. He doubles over, clutching his chest as a familiar yet alien power surges within him. Staring at his own hands, he asks himself, what in the world is happening? Dark, crackling energy envelops his skin. He recognizes it instantly. A curse. He grits his teeth, focusing his will just as he did in the other world. He calls upon his power to heal himself. A brilliant light explodes from his body, filling the quiet hospital room with a blinding, magical glow. The light fades, and he looks down. His hands are clean, the dark energy completely gone. Sweat drips from his brow as relief washes over him. It worked. His magic worked. He stares at the faint magical particles still dancing on his palms. If his magic is real, then everything else was too. He sits in stunned silence, trying to process this impossible new reality. Another thought pierces through the confusion. If he's really back, how much time has passed? He whips his head around, his eyes desperately searching for any clue. He looks out the window and freezes. He sees a modern city, but a magical tower stands beside the skyscrapers, and dragons are flying through the air. He stares at the impossible structure, a piece of a fantasy world dropped into his own. A real dragon soars right past his window, its scales glinting in the sun. A nurse rushes down the hall, shouting his name, but Rima doesn't even hear her. While the staff panics, he slips out of his room, his mind reeling from the impossible sight outside. Later, he sits in an office, watching his own medical scans flash across a screen. The doctor is in disbelief, explaining that his injuries were so severe that not even the strongest S-rank adventurers could have healed them. He learns that he was in a rockslide 5 months ago, an accident he has no memory of. Modern magic barely kept him alive, but he was left in a coma. He now realizes he made a mistake by healing himself. His miraculous recovery is a medical impossibility. The doctors have come to the only logical conclusion: he has amnesia. Suddenly, the office door bursts open. A man and a woman rush in, his parents, their faces etched with relief and worry. They cry his name, asking if the amnesia is true, and telling him the accident was not his fault. Seeing their pain, he makes a split-second decision. He must pretend. He apologizes to his father, explaining that while he knows they are his parents, he can't remember anything else. His father quickly reassures him that it's okay, his eyes filled with nothing but love. His mother wraps him in a tight hug, her tears of relief soaking his shoulder as she tells him all that matters is that he's alive. Quick fun fact: a whopping 98% of people who watch my videos haven't subscribed yet. If you're one of them and you want to see more content like this, a quick click on that subscribe button would be awesome. Now, back to what we were doing. In the car on the way home, he looks out at the city of dragons and towers. This is not the Japan he left behind. His father explains how the world has changed, how brave adventurers now protect society by conquering dungeons. Rima can feel it now. Even the car runs on magical energy. A popular new trend has emerged: dungeon streaming, where adventurers broadcast their battles for the world to see. On the car's screen, an adventurer fights a giant monster, a glimpse into this world's new form of entertainment. Suddenly, Rima leans forward, his eyes wide with alarm. His dad asks him what's wrong. He can only point out the window, a shaky finger extended in shock. His gaze is locked on something outside, his face a mask of intense focus. He feels a powerful magical signature from a winged creature diving toward the highway. The creature, a massive griffin, slams into a truck just ahead of them. Pure instinct takes over. He screams for his parents to get down. The truck spins out of control, barreling straight towards their car. They are trapped. There's no time to escape the collision. Without a second thought, he throws his hand forward, his old training taking over. A glowing, hexagonal shield of pure energy materializes, stopping the truck just inches from impact. His parents look up, bewildered and unharmed. Rima quickly asks if they are okay as they shakily nod. He looks out the window, his expression grim. The griffin stands in the middle of the chaos. His father panics, wondering where the adventurers are. His dad screams at him, telling him they need to get out and run for their lives. Rima knows this beast. In his old world, it would take a whole team of knights to defeat it. He sees the absolute terror on his mother's face. He could end this now, but he hesitates. The memory of his execution flashes in his mind. He was killed for being too powerful. Maybe running away is the right choice. The safest path is to act normal, to hide what he can do. But then he sees her, a small child, crying and alone in the path of the monster. His hesitation evaporates. His hand is already on the door. His feet hit the asphalt. He bursts from the car, a blur of motion as he sprints toward the child. His father screams his name, calling him a fool for running towards the danger. He snatches the girl from the ground an instant before the griffin's massive claws strike. Holding the child, he faces the beast. He is close enough to counterattack, but for a split second the angry faces from his execution flood his mind, and fear paralyzes him. His father's panicked shouts of his name echo from the car. Rima's eyes narrow, his fear turning to resolve. He sees his mother's face, streaked with tears, and his heart breaks. His expression hardens with grim determination. He will not make her worry like this ever again. The griffin's talons slash down, aiming to kill, but a massive wolf of pure light erupts from a summoning circle, catching the claw in its powerful jaws. He feels the familiar, comforting magic of his most loyal companion. "Luna," he says, relieved. He apologizes for calling her so suddenly. But just as he feels in control, he senses a new, powerful magic nearby. A young woman with long, pale hair appears, her hand outstretched as she casts a spell. The griffin is instantly encased in a tomb of jagged, magical ice. The crowd erupts in cheers, shouting for the ice princess who has saved them. The immediate threat is gone. He quietly tells Luna to hide herself again. With a shimmer of light, his loyal wolf vanishes from sight. The ice princess turns to him, calmly asking if he and the child are all right. Rima just stares, his eyes wide with disbelief. He knows her. Her calm facade shatters as she recognizes him too. She whispers his name, completely shocked. His father shouts her name, "Ayane!" At the same moment, Rima breathes her name in disbelief. His father rushes over to thank her, but Ayane can't take her eyes off Reima, saying it was the natural thing to do. She adds that she's glad everyone is safe, her voice filled with unspoken questions. He knows her name is Yukisaki Ayane, his childhood friend. She looks older now, but it's definitely her. His father tries to explain his condition, but Reima cuts him off. He has to handle this himself. He looks her in the eye and sticks to his story. He tells her that he has amnesia and doesn't remember who she is. Her face falls, and a look of deep hurt flashes in her eyes. With tears welling, she asks if he is telling the truth. She quickly collects herself, putting on a brave face to reintroduce herself as his neighbor and friend. She smiles kindly, suggesting they celebrate his recovery from the hospital when the time is right. She offers her hand, telling him to contact her any time, promising to help him with anything he needs. He agrees, promising to get in touch as he says goodbye, his mind reeling from their reunion. That night, back in his quiet neighborhood, he tries to make sense of it all. He sits at his computer, researching this strange new world. 50 years ago, dungeons appeared, and monsters and magic became real. He finds a diary in his room. As he reads, the uneasy feeling he's had grows into a certainty. This is not his home. It's a parallel world, a twisted version of the place he knew. He lets out a bitter laugh. His family is here, his friend is here, but the world itself is a fantasy. A heavy sadness settles over him. He didn't make it back after all. A darker thought emerges. If this is a parallel world, then this body, it belongs to this world's Reima. He shakes his head, pushing the thought away. He calls out to the one companion he knows is near. He asks the empty air if she is in the room with him. A girl with silver hair and fox ears suddenly appears on his bed, surprising him. It's Luna, his first and most loyal summoned beast, here in her humanoid form, explaining she was just doing a safety check. She looks at him with hopeful eyes, asking if she deserves a reward for being so patient. He asks what she wants. She simply replies, "Pet me." He's confused by the sudden request but agrees, wondering why she's being so needy after just a few hours. Her expression turns sad as she explains it's because now, finally, she can be with the real master again. He understands. He sits on the bed and gently tells her it's okay. He places his hand on her head, softly stroking her hair. Tears of relief stream down her face. He asks her why she is crying, but then his own emotions overwhelm him, and he finds himself crying too, covering his face with his hand. He realizes that the warmth of her touch, the solid proof that she is real, has washed away all his doubts. It wasn't a dream. He wipes away his tears, a profound sense of relief washing over him. Luna smiles peacefully, content. His companions, his true friends, really do exist. A sudden, urgent thought strikes him. He asks Luna if the others are safe. She reassures him that everyone is safe and sound, explaining they are all connected to his soul. His sudden, explosive sigh of relief startles her. The exhaustion of the day finally hits him. He falls back onto the bed, telling Luna he needs to sleep. She looks at him with gentle affection and asks to sleep beside him. As they lie there, his mind is a whirl of confusion. The other world, this new world, his future, it's all a mystery. He stares at the ceiling, feeling completely lost. As he drifts off, he hears Luna whisper in her sleep, begging him not to disappear again. Her fearful words, "Don't go, master," jolt him wide awake. He grits his teeth, realizing his own fear has been causing her so much pain. He holds her close, and one thing becomes crystal clear. He is not alone. A new, fierce determination burns in his eyes. He vows to protect them. He will not let what happened in the other world happen again. In the quiet of the night, his resolve is renewed. He whispers softly, "I'm so glad." A single tear escapes Luna's eye as she smiles in her sleep, whispering back how glad she is that he's alive. As Rima finally sleeps, Luna watches over him. She makes a silent promise. If any world ever tries to hurt her master again, she will become a monster to stop it. The next day, Rima sits at his desk, researching this new world's biggest trend, dungeon streaming. He learns that with fantasy, now a reality, people watch real-life combat as entertainment. He finds it bizarre, like a live-action version of the video game. Streams he used to know. The dungeons are gateways to other dimensions, filled with monsters, treasures, and valuable materials. He realizes that dungeon streamers are a type of adventurer, a profession his other self seemed to be a part of. While browsing, he stumbles upon a famous streamer's channel and is shocked to see Ayane's face. She has 2 million subscribers. He slumps in his chair, astonished that his parallel world friend has become a celebrity. He shakes his head. He needs to focus on his own next steps. He looks out at the city, a strange mix of the familiar and the fantastic. He knows that to understand this world and why he was sent here, he must enter a dungeon. He wonders if his powers will even work properly here. There's only one way to find out. He will test his abilities firsthand. He prepares for a secret mission, summoning a special robe that will hide his identity. He isn't fighting for fame this time. He just needs to know if his summoned beasts will answer his call. Dungeons are open all the time. Under the cover of darkness, he leaps from his window, completely concealed. His phone shows him the nearest location, the C-rank Black Iron Dungeon. He walks down the empty street, recalling that the dungeon is filled with C-rank orcs. He arrives at an ornate, glowing gate. He senses a barrier, but it's not active at night. As he approaches, the magical barrier dissolves, granting him entry. He smirks. With no one around, this will be much easier. He steps inside and is stunned. It's not a dark cave, but a vast open landscape with a bright sky. He mutters "cave" in confusion, completely bewildered by the sight. A pair of small dragons nearby seems to question the idea of orcs being here. Suddenly, a deafening roar shakes the ground. He whips his head around, startled. The massive, terrifying eye of a monster he doesn't recognize fills his vision. He knows he's in trouble. The ground beneath his feet cracks and shatters from the force of the roar. The cliff edge crumbles away, sending him plummeting into the abyss. He tumbles through the air, completely caught off guard. Even as he falls, his training kicks in. He quickly traces a summoning circle. He lands softly on something large and furry instead of hitting the hard ground. Luna, in her giant wolf form, has appeared to catch him. He thanks her, relieved. She transforms back to her humanoid form, holding him gently and smiling, saying that protecting him is her duty. A sharp voice cuts in, teasing him for being unreliable, reminding him that's why he died before. Rima looks over sheepishly and apologizes for dying. A second girl with reddish hair stands nearby. It's Sol, and she's here because she doesn't think Luna is reliable enough. He explains that Sol is Luna's twin sister, and though she looks younger, she's actually the elder. He complains that she shouldn't have piggybacked on Luna's summoning. Sol just scoffs, saying she doesn't care. She angrily points out that it's his fault for not summoning her directly. Rima has to admit she has a point. He tries to explain that in this world he can't just summon them whenever he wants. She turns away, shouting that she doesn't care about his reasons. She whirls back around, her face close to his, asking if it's fair that he only called for Luna after she missed him so much. Her eyes are wide and intense. "Do you not need me?" she asks, her voice dangerously quiet. Rima is completely taken aback. He has never seen this scary side of Sol before. He feels a powerful, dark, magical energy swirling around her. She is genuinely dangerous right now. He remembers a piece of advice. When you've made a mistake, just apologize honestly. Realizing his mistake, Rima quickly apologizes. He looks at Sol with sincere eyes and tells her that he missed her too, and that she should never, ever think that she isn't needed. Sol's intense expression softens. "Really?" she asks, her voice now small and hopeful. "Am I necessary to Rima?" He pulls her into a gentle hug and nods, reassuring her that she is essential and that he'll be counting on her from now on. He gently tells her to go back to her usual energetic self, because that's the Sol he likes best. Hearing this, Sol's face lights up with a radiant, blushing smile. In a flash, her worried demeanor is replaced with pure joy. She begins to dance and sing, gloating about how much Rima loves her. Rima looks completely worn out by her sudden shift in energy, while Luna watches with a completely unimpressed look on her face. Still beaming, Sol asks if he will pet her head later as a reward. Her happy aura is so bright that the dark, menacing energy from before has completely vanished, but her celebration is cut short. Her eyes narrow as she hears the dragons below growling impatiently. "Shut!" she begins to say. She glares down at the creatures, declaring that these measly lizards dared to interrupt her important conversation with her master. For such an offense, she declares, the only sentence is death. A wide, competitive grin spreads across her face as she turns to her sister. She proposes a hunting contest. Luna calmly agrees, raising the stakes by adding that the winner gets their master all to themselves for a whole day. Rima tries to step in, reminding them it's just a test and they should be careful. But they are already lost in their rivalry. "I won't give him up, even if you cry!" Sol shouts. Rima sighs, realizing they're not listening. The two sisters stand shoulder to shoulder at the edge of the woods, poised and ready for battle. Rima can only watch from behind as they prepare to start their competition. With a fierce glint in her eye, Sol shouts, "Let the competition begin!" Luna's eye mirrors the same fiery determination as she silently accepts the challenge. In an instant, they both leap into action, unleashing their power against a swarm of wyverns that fill the forest. Luna moves with blinding speed, her powerful kick sending a wyvern crashing through the trees. Sol is just as ferocious, a wide, terrifying grin on her face as she tears through the monsters. A one-sided slaughter had begun. From a safe distance, Rema watches the chaos unfold, holding his head in his hands as he yells for them not to overdo it. A short time later, the forest is quiet. Rema walks through the aftermath, surrounded by the remains of defeated dragons. He begins to wonder if the monsters in this world are just weaker than the ones he's used to. Stepping over a severed claw, he thinks that maybe he was worrying for nothing. His companions are clearly more than strong enough to handle this world's threats. But just as he lets his guard down, a sudden movement in the shadows catches his attention. He instinctively leaps back as the ground in front of him erupts with explosive force. A colossal dragon, its body covered in thick, rocky armor, rises from the earth. Rima, still in midair, stares in shock, having never seen a monster like this before. The monster lets out a deafening roar that shakes the entire dungeon. Rima quickly realizes this is a creature he has no data on, a truly unknown monster. His expression turns serious and focused, the time for testing over. A small smirk touches his lips. He's found a real challenge, a truly big one. This fight is going to be tough. Before he can make a move, Sol and Luna reappear at his side, both looking furious at the new arrival. "Hey, what do you think you're doing to my Rema?" Sol shouts at the giant beast. Rema tries to tell them to wait and form a plan, but it's too late. With a furious cry of, "Die!" Sol unleashes a powerful blast of dark energy. The attack slams into the dragon's rocky hide, but it seems to have no effect at all. Luna immediately follows up with a wave of razor-sharp ice shards, but Rima again shouts for them to wait. Ignoring him completely, the twin sisters launch a furious, coordinated assault, moving like a whirlwind of magical energy and devastating blows. After a fierce but short battle, the giant dragon lies defeated. Luna calmly informs her master that there are no more monsters. Sol immediately pops up beside him, asking for her reward since she claims she dealt the final blow. Rima stands amidst the destruction, looking at the piles of defeated monsters. He sighs and tells them, "You two, that was too much." He blushes with embarrassment, suddenly realizing a very important fact about this world. Since society has developed thanks to the materials from dungeons, completely wiping out all the monsters is probably forbidden. His eyes widen in alarm at the thought. Seeing his reaction, Sol's triumphant mood vanishes. She looks up at him with big, sad eyes, her lip trembling as she asks, "Even though I tried so hard?" Rima quickly changes his tone. He smiles and holds up a crystal he took from the dragon, reassuring her. He apologizes and thanks her, explaining that she helped him learn exactly what he needed to know. Sol's face instantly lights up. Winking proudly, she says, "See? As expected of me." Then, she boldly declares that as her reward, they will go on a date tomorrow. Rima looks panicked and quickly puts his hands together in a pleading gesture. He explains that they can't possibly go on a date, because it would cause all sorts of rumors. He tries to compromise by saying, "Well, if we get the chance." This is enough to make Sol bounce with excitement, asking if he's really not lying. Luna, who has been watching silently, suddenly speaks up. She looks at him, with serious eyes, and says, "Master, promise." As Sol happily chatters on about their promise, a massive, dark sphere of energy comes flying towards them out of nowhere. Rima shouts her name in warning. A shadowy clawed hand emerges from the darkness, aiming straight for Sol. Reacting in an instant, Rima shoves Sol out of the way just as a vortex of dark magic erupts right where she was standing. A wild-eyed adventurer lunges from the shadows, screaming, "Die!" In a flash of light, Luna appears in her full-sized wolf form, taking the force of the adventurer's attack to shield her master. The crazed adventurer, undeterred, lunges forward again with incredible speed. Luna asks Rima what to do, explaining that her older sister, Sol, is completely unpredictable once she gets into a competitive frenzy. Rima just looks tired of the chaos. He crouches down to speak with Luna, who has transformed into a smaller, more agile fox. He asks if she can catch up to the fleeing adventurer. Luna nods confidently, telling him to leave it to her. Rima places his hand on her back, telling her he's counting on her excellent sense of smell to track the intruder. He quickly hops onto her back and with a determined, "Let's go, master," she dashes off into the woods. Meanwhile, the reckless adventurer is live-streaming his exploits. He's bragging to his online audience that he's currently inside a dungeon called Dragon's Tomb, home to a city-destroying level monster. His viewers are begging him to get out, reminding him of all the people who have died there. But the streamer, whose name is Illegal, just laughs, boasting that he's going in anyway, even though the area is about to be restricted. He arrogantly asks his viewers who they think he is, puffing out his chest and declaring himself an A-rank adventurer from the Illegal Guild. Shoving open the same ornate dungeon door Rima entered earlier, he claims a dungeon like this is a piece of cake for him since it's not officially forbidden yet. But once inside, he's stunned to find himself in a blizzard, surrounded by snow-capped mountains instead of the landscape he expected. He starts to panic, realizing that this is a dangerous irregularity, an unexpected and extreme change in the dungeon's environment that should be reported to the government immediately. He understands that this level of danger is usually only handled by the strongest of heroes, the S-rank adventurers. But his fear is quickly replaced by ambition. He grins, thinking that if he can solve this problem all by himself, he'll be hailed as a hero. Deeper inside, he stumbles upon the massive, frozen corpse of a dragon. He recognizes it as a rare emerald dragon, a powerful A-rank monster, and is shocked to find such a creature defeated here. Clutching a valuable crystal, he broke off its body. His greed takes over completely. He decides to press onward, convinced that conquering this dungeon will make him an S-rank adventurer. He boastfully tells his audience that whoever left this valuable corpse behind was an idiot, and that this is his chance to rise to the top. Just then, Rima and his companions arrive at the heart of the dungeon, coming face to face with the colossal dragon that is causing the blizzard. This is a Ragnarok-class dragon, a monster of immense and terrifying power. Even a tiny, fluffy, sheep-like creature is sent flying by the sheer force of its presence. Rima immediately takes charge, telling Luna to stay by his side and support him while he directs the battle. He analyzes their opponent, noting that while he's fought dragons in his old world, this one is clearly an upper-class type, and its abilities might be completely different. The dragon roars, opening its massive jaws lined with sharp teeth, ready to attack. But Rima just smirks. This is the perfect opponent to truly test their strength in this new world. He begins to summon a weapon. A glowing summoning circle appears at his feet, and from it emerges a powerful, ornate sword. "Come, Lavatine," he commands. "It's been a while since we've been on a battlefield." Lavatine is no ordinary sword, but a legendary magic staff with the power to burn everything in its path, while also providing incredible support to its wielder and his allies. Rima can feel that he's only at about 30% of his full power, which limits the magic and the number of beasts he can summon at once. But he clenches his fist with determination. Even with his power limited, his skills and his strategies remain just as sharp as ever. He raises Lavatine high, shouting to Luna and Sol that he'll support them with everything he's got. He gives them one simple command: go wild. The two wolf sisters bare their fangs, their eyes glowing with excitement as they get ready to unleash their full power. The giant dragon lunges, shaking the ground with every thunderous step. Its enormous, toothy jaws snap shut with terrifying force, aiming to crush them. Rima quickly chants, casting multiple support spells at once. He enhances Sol's strength and fortifies Luna's defenses. He continues his rapid-fire support, giving Luna fire resistance and creating invisible platforms of magic in the air for them to jump on. Luna uses the magical footholds to launch herself high into the air, easily dodging the dragon's attack. She descends like a missile, sinking her powerful jaws deep into the thick scales of the dragon's neck. Rima watches with pride, amazed at how easily they've gained the upper hand. Meanwhile, the reckless adventurer, hiding behind a pillar, can't believe what he's seeing. "What the hell is this?" the adventurer cries out in terror and disbelief. Not realizing who he's talking to, he shouts at the mysterious cloaked figure to get back, warning him that it's too dangerous. Reima's eye narrows slightly, annoyed by the interruption. The dragon, enraged and in pain, unleashes a powerful blast of dark fire from its mouth, aimed at Luna. Reima calmly casts a spell. Wise reflection. A shimmering barrier appears, and the adventurer is sent flying by the powerful shockwave. Reima's face is cold and focused as the magical barrier perfectly reflects the dragon's attack right back at it. The massive dragon is engulfed in its own devastating dark flames. The adventurer lies on the ground, dazed and wondering if he's dead. Reima looks down at him and calmly says, "You're alive, so don't move." Turning his attention back to the fight, Reima gives his final order to the sisters. "Finish it in one blow. We don't have time." The eyes of both wolves glow with an immense, overflowing power as they prepare their final, combined attack. Soul unleashes Radiant Soul, a devastatingly powerful spear of pure light energy that shoots toward the dragon. At the exact same time, Luna attacks with Destructio Luna, a swirling orb of pure destructive energy that hurtles toward the beast. After the smoke from the massive explosion clears, the adventurer runs over to the cloaked figure, frantically asking if he's okay. He stammers, completely bewildered by the mysterious man's incredible power, and tries to ask who he is. Reima just points to himself and casually says he's just a passing, black-robed guy. The adventurer, frustrated and still in shock, grabs his robe and demands to know who he really is. The adventurer then explains that since the dungeon's final boss has been defeated, the entire dimension will collapse in 10 minutes. This is completely new information for Reima. The adventurer starts to panic, shouting that they have to get out immediately. A notification on his phone shows that over 200,000 people are watching his stream. Reima just looks confused, having no idea what concurrent viewers even means. The adventurer interrupts Reima's confusion, asking if he's found the exit gate yet. It finally clicks for Reima. He stares in horror, realizing that this whole time, the adventurer has been live-streaming their entire battle. They both start to panic, but for very different reasons. The adventurer is worried about escaping the collapsing dungeon, while Reima is horrified at the thought of his secret powers being exposed to the entire world. Reima quickly uses a magic detection spell, his hand glowing as he scans the area. He points to the ruins of an ancient altar in the distance, telling the adventurer that the transfer gate, their only exit, is just beyond it. The adventurer is amazed he found it so fast. Reima hops onto Luna's back, tells her to go into stealth mode, and tells the adventurer to go on ahead without him. In a flash, Reima and Luna disappear into thin air, leaving the adventurer completely stunned and alone. Snapping out of his shock, the adventurer turns and runs for his life towards the altar. Elsewhere in the collapsing dungeon, Reima and Luna race through the crumbling landscape. Luna spots their own exit, the main entrance they came in through. Just as the adventurer bursts out of the transfer gate, he shouts, "Mission complete!" only to find himself face to face with a massive crowd of reporters and government officials. Unseen in the crowd, Reima stands perfectly still, hidden by his stealth magic. He nervously pulls his hood tighter, hoping his recognition-inhibiting robe is still working as intended. He glances over and sees Ayane standing nearby with another girl. Their gazes pass right through him as if he isn't there. He breathes a quiet sigh of relief. He's truly invisible. Deciding it's time to leave, Reima turns to go home. Luna, perched on his shoulder in her small fox form, gently reminds him that he's walking in the wrong direction. Finally, back in the safety of his bedroom, Reima collapses onto his bed, utterly exhausted from the day's unbelievable events. His thoughts drift to the reckless but ultimately harmless dungeon streamer he encountered. He closes his eyes, genuinely hoping the guy managed to escape the dungeon safely. As he drifts off to sleep, his phone slips from his grasp and clatters silently to the floor. The phone screen lights up, displaying the current news trends. The #1 topic, seen by millions, is the mysterious, black-robed summoner who conquered the dragon's tomb. The next morning, sunlight streams into Reima's peaceful neighborhood as birds chirp outside his window. The morning news is playing on the television in the dining room. the top story still being the events of the previous night. Raima sits at the dining table, trying to have a normal breakfast with his parents, pretending nothing out of the ordinary happened. After breakfast, as he's getting ready for school, his mother asks him to come to the front door for a moment. He walks over to the intercom, wondering who could possibly be visiting so early in the morning. He looks at the screen and is surprised to see Ayane, dressed in her school uniform, smiling and waving at the camera. "Good morning, Ayane," he says into the intercom, a bit confused. She cheerfully replies that since they go to the same school, they should walk together. He hesitates, then politely declines, explaining that it would be too awkward to walk with someone he supposedly doesn't remember. Deep down, he also feels it's best to keep his distance from the famous Ice Princess to avoid drawing attention to himself. Ayane's smile doesn't waver. She cleverly points out, "Come to think of it, since you have amnesia, do you even know where the school is, Raima?" He freezes. A memory of him getting lost on his way to the dungeon, which was only a 3-minute walk away, flashes in his mind. He quickly tries to cover for his terrible sense of directions, insisting that he looked up the route. Ayane gives him a playful, knowing smirk, as if she can see right through his lie. He looks away, flustered, realizing he's been caught. A few moments later, they are walking to school together across a quiet neighborhood bridge. Ayane smiles happily, saying it's been a long time since they've walked to school together like this. Raima finds himself smiling too, agreeing that it feels nice. Ayane suddenly remembers something important. She tells Raima that the guildmaster wants to see him once he's settled. Raima is surprised, realizing that his parallel self was a member of an adventurer's guild. She explains that the Raima of this world actually had no magical power at first and couldn't become an adventurer. But he worked incredibly hard and earned a special recommendation, which allowed them to become adventurers together. She smiles, explaining that the guild master was a huge help to him, a benefactor who made his dream possible. Raima understands her unusually cheerful mood. From her perspective, he has miraculously recovered from a state that was close to death, and she's overjoyed to have him back. Curious to learn more about the person whose life he now leads, he asks her, "Hey, Ayane, what was I like before the accident?" Ayane thinks for a moment, then starts listing off his supposed traits. Clumsy, a dungeon otaku, terrible with directions, a bit weird and dumb, and he would sulk when he was in a bad mood. Raima looks horrified, asking if she's just teasing him. She shakes her head with a completely serious expression, confirming she's not. He sighs, muttering that it sounds like he hasn't changed much from that description. Ayane giggles and agrees with him, but then she continues in a softer tone, listing his good qualities. She mentions how he always matches his walking pace to hers, how he listens to her selfish requests, and how he's considerate despite seeming dense. She looks up at the sky with a warm, genuine smile. "But most of all," she says, "your kindness hasn't changed." She gives a little twirl, happily finishing her thought as she looks back at him. Raima looks down, admitting that he was feeling anxious about his new life. But walking to school with her has made him feel relieved, because it helped him realize that deep down, he is still the same Raima she remembers. He instinctively apologizes for worrying her. Ayane just looks back at him and playfully says, "That's another thing that hasn't changed. His bad habit of apologizing for everything." She quickly moves on, changing the subject to something more cheerful. Looking at him brightly, she suggests that since he finally gets to have a normal school life, they should start fresh from today and make the most of it. A genuine, relaxed smile spreads across Raima's face. "Yeah," he says. "Thanks, Ayane." Ayane laughs, a little embarrassed but clearly happy to have her friend back. As they walk, Raima quietly vows to himself that one day he will find a way to repay all the kindness she has shown him. Arriving at the large school building, he asks what school is like. Ayane simply replies, "It's fun," which makes him look forward to the day ahead. He takes a deep breath, ready to begin his school life all over again. His first stop before class is a meeting in the principal's office. The principal, a friendly and energetic man named Yuji Kazama, smiles warmly and says he's grateful that Raima has decided to return to their school, Make-You High. Raima scratches his head in confusion, asking why the school would let him enroll so late in the year, especially after he was unconscious for so long. The principal practically leaps out of his chair in surprise at the question. He exclaims that of course they would welcome back the great genius, Raima Kariya. He explains that the original Raima, despite having no magic of his own, used his brilliant mind and deep knowledge of dungeons to create a whole new and revolutionary theory of support for adventurers. He leans forward, his expression full of admiration, saying that even with amnesia, the school should be thanking him for agreeing to return. Rima can only stare, completely dumbfounded by this revelation about his other self. The principal goes on, revealing that Rima was not only the top student admitted to the support department, but he was also Ayane's exclusive supporter since middle school, the strategic genius who helped elevate her all the way to S rank. As a teacher leads him down the hallway to his new class, Rima realizes the immense weight of the expectations on him. He's been using amnesia as an excuse, but he understands he has a lot of work to do to live up to the legacy of the person whose body he now inhabits. They arrive at his new classroom, Support Department, Class 1-1. The teacher asks him to introduce himself. He looks out at a classroom full of curious students, his eyes landing on a girl with glasses and short hair sitting in the front row. He takes a nervous breath, feeling the pressure of all the eyes on him. He introduces himself as Rema Carilla and politely asks his new classmates to help him fit in, given his unusual midterm enrollment. He finishes with a polite bow to the class, saying, "Nice to meet you all." The teacher enthusiastically decides to use the rest of the period for a Q&A session. Rima panics, knowing he can't answer anything. Internally, Rema is screaming. He has amnesia. He can't answer any personal questions. But before he can protest, a voice from the back of the class calls out, "Yo! Long time no see, best friend!" The student jokes about Rema's shocked expression, comparing him to a panda who's had its bamboo stolen. Rema recognizes that familiar, teasing voice. He looks up to see a boy with a bandana and a wide, friendly grin waving at him. It's Amaga's Shiki, his best friend since the 5th grade. With his usual blunt but helpful attitude, Shiki decides to take charge and lead the Q&A session for him. A girl's hand immediately shoots up into the air. The very first question isn't about his genius support theory or the accident, but something far more personal. "What's your relationship with Ayane?" Rima starts sweating, completely caught off guard. He was expecting questions about his support skills, not his love life. The entire class buzzes with excitement. Everyone wants to know if the genius adventurer and her genius supporter, a famous duo since their middle school days, are actually dating. Overwhelmed by the questions, Rima quickly clarifies that he and Ayane are just childhood friends, probably. Seeing the class settle down a bit, he thinks he gave the right, safe answer. Then, another hand goes up. A girl with a friendly smile asks, "Rima, did you watch the Black Robe video?" The classroom erupts again with excitement. Of course he watched it. They all did. They start praising the mysterious summoner's amazing movements and his perfect timing in supporting his beasts. Rima mentally facepalms, realizing with dawning horror that the video of his secret dungeon mission has become required viewing, research material, for his entire class. He laughs nervously, trying to play it cool and blend in. "Right, yeah, the summoned beasts were super beautiful and amazing," he says, agreeing with anything to change the subject. He makes a mental note to immediately block the term "black robe" on all his social media accounts to avoid any more awkward situations. After the exhausting Q&A session finally ends, Rema collapses onto his desk. Shiki walks over and greets his best friend. With a cheerful grin, Shiki invites him to grab lunch together, since they finally have some free time. Later, sitting on the school rooftop, Shiki's cheerful demeanor fades. He asks Rema seriously if something happened to him, saying that he's noticed a change in him since he woke up. Rema decides to trust his best friend with the truth, at least partially. He explains that he has amnesia and can't remember much about their past together. He apologizes for worrying him. Shiki looks at him, a flicker of sadness in his eyes, as he asks if he truly doesn't remember anything at all. Then, Shiki's expression breaks into a wide, reassuring grin. He introduces himself as Amagazu Shiki, his best friend since 5th grade and a professional enchanter. He slings a friendly arm around Rema's shoulders, telling him not to worry and to ask him anytime if he needs help with school. Rema smiles, relieved and grateful, and says he will definitely rely on him. Just as they are relaxing, a loud alarm blares through the school. An announcement declares an emergency. Monsters have escaped from the underground dungeon right beneath the school. All staff members and students ranked C class or higher are ordered to help contain the threat. The voice on the intercom repeats with urgency, "This is not a drill!" Shiki immediately gets to his feet, telling Reima to stay here and stay safe while he goes to help the teachers with the escaped monsters. Reima asks if Shiki can actually fight. Shiki grins confidently, explaining that while he's not an attacker like Ayane as an enchanter, he can handle himself with support and self-enhancement magic. He notices Reima's pale, worried face and asks if he's okay. Reima just pauses, thinking to himself that this Shiki, an enchanter who can fight, is also different from the friend he remembers from his original magicless world. Shiki tells him to just wait there, reminding him that he doesn't have a weapon and has only just gotten out of the hospital. He says that lower-rank students are evacuating to the rooftop, so Reima should go with them if he's unsure of what to do. Reima agrees, telling Shiki not to push himself too hard. Shiki just grins over his shoulder and says, "I won't die." With a confident leap, Shiki vaults over the rooftop railing, boasting that he's not so weak that a few of Meikyu's low-level monsters could beat him. Reima watches his best friend leap into action, a small, worried sigh escaping his lips as he mutters, "Seriously?" Reima stands on the rooftop, hearing the panicked chatter of students evacuating in the hallways below. He overhears them talking about the monster outbreak. The students whisper in fear, saying there are too many monsters and the teachers are overwhelmed. The news gets worse as he hears that students are starting to get hurt in the chaos. A cold fear grips Reima. He desperately hopes that no one has been killed yet. The thought of losing someone is unbearable. He can't stand by any longer. Apologizing to Shiki for breaking his promise to stay put, Reima begins to summon a special item. He equips a special silver-blue robe woven from Luna's own fur. This magical item can make him completely invisible for long periods. Now hidden from sight, he leaps from the roof and immediately begins casting spells to map the school and detect all the monsters' locations. A detailed, glowing map of the entire school building appears in his hands, pinpointing every corner and hallway. As he silently glides through the air, his detection spell finishes. He counts about 50 monsters scattered throughout the campus. It's a lot. He lands silently near a pair of small green goblins, confirming his spell worked. He has found his first targets. In a blink, he materializes between the two creatures, who are startled by his sudden appearance. A new weapon appears in his hand. Anger, a magical dagger so sharp it can slice through the strongest metals. "Sorry, but," he whispers, holding the dagger ready as he prepares to face the small monsters. His eyes glow with cold focus. He declares that he will take care of this problem himself. The goblins snarl, ready to fight, unaware of the immense power they are about to face. He moves like a phantom, a blur of motion. In a single fluid movement, he defeats several goblins before they can even react. He watches as the monsters' bodies dissolve into dust, leaving no trace. He thinks to himself that it's best to erase all evidence of his involvement. With a wave of his dagger, the last remaining particles vanish. "Next is," he says, already moving on. As he continues his hunt, he notices something strange. The monsters aren't clustered together as if they broke out from one spot. They are spread out across the school in a way that seems unnatural for a simple dungeon break. He holds the head of a defeated orc, a disturbing thought crossing his mind. It feels as if someone deliberately placed these monsters in different locations. A jolt of understanding hits him, and his eyes widen in alarm. He looks up towards the rooftop and sees a massive, glowing magic circle in the sky. He recognizes it instantly. Transfer magic. This wasn't a dungeon break. Someone summoned these monsters here. Knowing the real danger is on the roof where the students are evacuating, he casts enhancement spells on himself, preparing to run. On the rooftop, a giant ogre has appeared, cornering the terrified students. Someone cries out for them to hold on until help arrives. Reima leaps up the side of the school building, his mind racing. He knows he can't use his powerful beasts, Luna and Saul, since their appearances were exposed on the live stream. Using a simple dagger wouldn't be enough to defeat an ogre, and large-scale magic could accidentally hurt the students. He needs a different solution. As he lands silently on the rooftop railing, he begins a new summoning. He has another companion, one perfect for this delicate situation. A beautiful, elegant woman with elf-like ears and a flower in her dark hair materializes from the summoning circle. Reima looks at his summoned beast and says, "I'm counting on you." The students gasp in awe as the mysterious being, Lycoris, floats gracefully above them. She lands as gently as a falling leaf, her presence calming the panicked crowd. Without a word, she walks towards the massive ogre, a spotlight seeming to follow her as the terrified students instinctively part to make way. Meanwhile, a few brave students try to fight back, but their attacks are useless against the ogre's tough hide. In the blink of an eye, Lycoris is perched on the ogre's shoulder, holding an intricate, deadly blade. Her eyes are cold and merciless as she prepares to strike a single, fatal blow. She floats gently back to the ground just as the massive ogre collapses behind her, defeated. "It's over," she says simply. The students are safe. The student fighters are in shock, wondering how the creature could be so tough one moment and then fall so suddenly. It doesn't make any sense. The ogre's weapon clatters to the ground as its body goes limp. "We won," one student stammers, and the rooftop erupts in cheers. Rima, still hidden in his robe, thinks now he just needs to slip away unnoticed. One of the students cheers, filled with pride at what he believes was a victory achieved by their own schoolmates. But suddenly, Rima feels a dizzy spell, his hand trembling. He wonders if he's suffering from magic exhaustion. He quietly dismisses Lycoris, telling her to return for now. The world goes dark as he collapses. When he opens his eyes again, he finds himself lying in a bed in the school's infirmary, wondering how he collapsed. He checks his condition. He has a fever, but strangely, his magic levels are full. He's confused about what happened. "I'm here," a soft voice answers. He asks her if she's okay. Lycoris appears beside his bed. She is an archidra, a rare and powerful species of hydra. He asks if she was the one who diagnosed his condition, and she simply nods in agreement. He recalls experiencing this once before, in the other world. It's a wisdom fever, a common side effect when one's magical abilities grow and settle. Lycoris explains that it's just his soul finishing its adaptation to his new body, which should make magic easier to control. But Rima finds this strange, since he's been using magic just fine. He sits in silence for a moment, processing her words. She sits on the edge of his bed, her quiet, steady presence feeling surprisingly comforting to him. She looks at him with worried eyes and holds out her hand, softly asking if he would hold it. He takes her hand, and she looks at him with a vulnerable expression, asking him if he's going to die on them again. She tells him to promise, to let her feel his warmth so she knows he's real and won't disappear. Looking into her pleading eyes, he holds her hand firmly and says, "I promise." She lets out a small sound of relief. Her mind flashes back to that terrible moment in the other world when he died. A dark memory surfaces. In her grief and rage, she had been ready to destroy the world that took him from her. But he was the one who had given her a reason to live, teaching a creature of death about warmth and connection. She silently renews her vow to protect him with everything she has. The door opens, and Shiki and Ayane enter, calling his name. Lycoris holds his hand tighter, thinking that she will never lose him again. Rima quickly sits up and calls out to his friends while quietly telling Lycoris to hide. She nods, promising to stay hidden until he is home safely, and vanishes out the open window. His friends rush to his side, full of worry. Rima, wiping away tears he didn't realize were falling, tries to reassure them, saying he just needs to accept things as they are now. Shiki playfully hits his back while Ayane scolds him, both of them clearly relieved but also frustrated that he made them worry so much. As they leave, Shiki mutters to himself. He feels useless, but it fuels his desire to become someone who can protect the people he cherishes. Rima overhears him and asks what he said, but Shiki just shrugs it off as nothing. Later, back in Rima's room, Lycoris's own resolve hardens. Her expression is dark and determined. She will be the one to eliminate any threat to her master, no matter what it takes. A few days later, Shiki and some classmates are in a cafe, planning for a school trip to a dungeon. A girl in his group notices he's distracted, looking at his phone. He's scrolling through a popular forum for adventurers. She teases him for being obsessed, but he claims it's legitimate research for their upcoming trip. Another classmate complains that the forums are always about the same S-rank heroes, listing off famous names like Ayane and other powerful adventurers. But then, one of them finds some exciting news. Their own school is hosting a special dungeon stream led by first years. She gasps in shock as she reads who will be participating. It's an all-star lineup. Ice Princess Ayane will be joined by two other famous S-rank adventurers, the samurai swordmaster Kagura and the dragon-transforming Kaiser Dragonia. The students buzz with excitement. A 3S-rank collaboration is a huge event. Shiki just smirks, knowing his friend is just as much of a fan as he is. Their group leader tells them to focus on their own mission, though she admits she's also excited to watch the S-rank stream. Back in his room, Raima is once again studying the diary left behind by his parallel self. He had only skimmed it before, but looking at it properly now, he is truly amazed by the incredible detail. The diary is filled with memories of dungeon adventures with Ayane and Shiki. Even though these aren't his own memories, he feels a strange sense of familiarity, understanding that this person was still him. He thinks that by following this diary, he can navigate his new life. He wonders if there are any other secrets, like weapons, that this other Rima left behind. He decides to find out. He casts a summoning circle, asking one of his companions to help him search. He calls on Lycoris, the best tracker he has. He asks her to search his room for anything with a magical signature. He knows she is the best for the job. In less than a second, she announces that she's found something. "That was fast," he exclaims, impressed. She shows him a box. It looks empty, but it's heavy. She's found an invisible item. Rima casts a spell to remove the invisibility, and a stack of notebooks appears inside. He reads the first page, which is full of his younger self's complaints about having no magic and how much he hates studying. But the tone quickly shifts to one of fierce determination. The young Rima vows to become the strongest supporter through pure knowledge and effort, and our Rima can't help but notice the familiar habit of boasting. He realizes this diary is a testament to his other self's incredible hard work. Despite having no magic, his other self never stopped moving forward, all to support his talented friend and ensure her future success. A wave of guilt washes over Rima. He feels like he's stolen this incredible person's life. But he can't stop reading. He needs to understand him. He reads through notebook after notebook, each one filled with meticulous research on dungeons, monsters, and support strategies. He sees the desperation in the writing, the feeling that it was never enough. The young Rima felt he was holding Ayane back, that he wasn't good enough to help her reach her full potential. He saw the pain and the doubt, but also the unbreakable resolve to simply work harder. He pushed himself relentlessly so that one day he could be proud of the supporter he had become. Finally, Rima reaches the last page. It's an entry filled with hope. Their team was finally challenging the S-rank trial. All of his sacrifices were about to pay off. Rima closes the last notebook, his expression serious, and turns to Lycoris. He tells her his new resolve. No matter what happens, he has to find a way to return to his own world. His eyes burn with conviction. He believes that somewhere in the unknown depths of the dungeons, a way to return this body to the original Rima must exist. He clenches his fist. He must do this in secret. To reveal the truth would be to disrespect all the effort his other self poured into this life. He thinks of the boy in the diary, a true hero who always put others first. He compares that selfless hero to himself, a warrior who only knew how to fight and kill. He looks at Lycoris, asking if she truly believes he can succeed. "Absolutely," she replies with unwavering confidence. With her support, his resolve is unbreakable. "I'll return it," he promises. His path is clear now. He decides to head to a dungeon immediately to begin his training. He now has 2 missions to accomplish in this strange new world. An image of his 3 most loyal companions, Lycoris, Saul, and Luna, fills his mind. He clenches his fist, his eyes burning with resolve. He will protect them all, and he will return this body to the original Rima. He travels deep into the familiar Black Iron dungeon, seeking out a secluded area to begin his training in earnest. Lycoris appears beside him and asks what his plan is. He explains that he needs to test his current limits. He asks her to watch over him, and she agrees, reminding him not to be reckless. He gives her a confident grin, telling her to jump in if he gets into any real trouble. He consults the knowledge from the diary. He knows that in this type of dungeon, monsters will spawn continuously, and they will get stronger the deeper he goes. He also recalls a key difference. Monsters here drop magic stones that power technology, unlike the weapons and items he was used to. He and Lycoris stand ready in a vast empty cavern, waiting for the first wave. Sure enough, a monster materializes from the ground. Before them, a giant silverback gorilla. Rima calmly summons a plain, ordinary longsword, nothing special. He readies his sword, recalling what the diary said about this monster. Its main characteristic is its long, powerful arms. The gorilla beats its chest and roars, confirming the diary's notes. Its fighting style is based on wide, sweeping attacks that are powerful but predictable. This creates an obvious weakness. It's defenseless against anyone who can close the distance and get past its long reach. He thinks about his own combat style. Until now, he's always relied on overwhelming power, not skill or technique. But he doesn't know if that will work here. For knowledge and technique, he must rely on the research of his other self. And that research has revealed the silverback's vital weak point, the magic stone in its chest. In a flash, he darts inside the monster's guard and plunges his sword directly into the glowing magic stone. The gorilla lets out a final roar of pain as the stone shatters and it begins to dissolve. As the first monster fades, more begin to appear all around him. The true test has just begun. Hours pass. Rima stands victorious in a cavern littered with the fading remains of monsters. He decides it's time to go. He mentally catalogs the monsters he faced, noting that the rare minotaur only appeared once. But just as they prepare to leave, Lycoris warns him that more are coming. 3 people and 1 very large monster. The ground begins to shake from the heavy tread of an approaching beast. A group of 3 young adventurers bursts into the cavern, running for their lives. One of them seems to be panicking about being on a solo mission. A massive minotaur charges after them, roaring with rage. Rima realizes this one is much stronger than the one he defeated earlier. Its eyes glow with a furious red light, a clear sign that it's an elite or boss-level monster. Rima knows he could escape on his own, but fighting would draw too much attention. But looking at the terrified adventurers, he knows he can't just leave them to die. He calls out to the panicked group, telling them to run towards him. They look at him in confusion. They hesitate, wondering what this strange, cloaked person is talking about. He notices their streaming device isn't on. Since he isn't being recorded, he has more options. He tells them to leave it to him. He steps in front of them, his body crackling with immense power. "Come," he commands, summoning a massive, ornate scythe, a gift from Lycoris, specialized for instant kills. The minotaur roars and charges, its horns aimed straight for him. Rima easily sidesteps the clumsy attack, flowing around the beast like water. He grips the massive scythe, ready to end the fight. In one graceful, powerful swing, the scythe slices cleanly through the monster's neck. The minotaur's head flies from its shoulders. The body glows, then begins to dissolve into nothing. He rests the scythe on his shoulder, the minotaur's severed head at his feet. "It's over," he announces. He turns to leave as quickly as he appeared. With a casual kick, he sends the dissolving corpse tumbling away from the stunned adventurers. His cloak flows around him as he walks away, the battle finished in an instant. Effortlessly, he begins to drag the massive corpse away with his scythe. He drags the body away, leaving the 3 young adventurers completely speechless. One of them, a boy named Rin, finally whispers in awe, "So cool." The 3 of them run after him, with Rin excitedly asking for his autograph while his friend thanks him profusely. Their companion asks if he is hurt. Rima assures her he is fine, but she correctly identifies him as a summoner from his magic. She then recognizes his outfit from the news. "You're the Black Robe," she exclaims, as the others begin peppering him with questions about his power. Panicking at being recognized, Rima quickly summons a small, goofy-looking cat spirit to create a distraction. As they are momentarily distracted by the cute spirit, he prepares to make his escape. He gives a silent command to Luna, who is still hidden. A bright flash of light envelops him as he casts his stealth spell. He disappears completely, leaving the adventurers staring at the empty air, disappointed that he vanished before they could get an autograph. The next morning, as Rima gets ready to leave for school, his mother calls out to him. She stands at the entrance, asking if he has everything he needs for his big school trip. He smiles warmly at her, teasingly reminding her that this is the 3rd time she has asked. She continues to fuss over him, running through a checklist of items: lunch, phone, tissues, snacks. Finally, she relents, admitting that she might be worrying a little too much. A wave of guilt washes over Rima. He feels bad for lying to her, as he can't tell her about his secret dungeon adventures. To ease her worries, he reminds her that a powerful S-rank adventurer will be supervising their group. He adds that since it's an official school field trip, it won't be too dangerous, which finally seems to put her mind at ease. But just as he's about to walk out the door, she asks him to wait for a moment. 5 minutes later, she returns. While he was waiting, he got a text from Ayane telling him she's waiting outside. She apologizes for the wait and says she was trying to decide on the right time to give him something. She opens a case to reveal a pair of intricately designed revolvers, telling him to take them as a good luck charm. Reima recognizes the weapons from the diary. They are his other self's custom-made equipment. He understands now that his parents had been keeping them safe for him while he was in the hospital. He carefully places the guns in his bag. Thanks to the diary, he knows exactly how to use them. But he feels a heavy weight of responsibility, questioning if he has the right to wield the weapons his other self worked so hard to create. His mother's warm smile breaks through his thoughts. She tells him to do his best and, most importantly, not to get hurt again. He gives her a reassuring smile and promises he won't overdo it and will come home safely. The students arrive at their destination, a C-rank dungeon called the Beast's Den. A cheerful classmate holding a staff, Yugiri Asahi, greets him, saying she's excited to work with him. Reima smiles back, though he seems a bit distracted by the other students. He notices that all the other students are crowded around the two visiting S-rank adventurers, Kagura and Kaiser, completely ignoring him and Ayane. Kaiser points out that Ayane is standing all by herself, and Kagura speculates that something must have happened between her and Reima. A terrifying aura surrounds Ayane as she glares daggers at Kaiser, muttering a strange new nickname for him: Childhood Friend-Stealing Dragon. Kaiser is completely baffled by this and turns to Kagura for an explanation. But Ayane just puts on an innocent face, happily eating a sandwich and pretending she has no clue what's going on. Reima is left completely confused by the whole exchange. Just then, Ayane grabs both Reima and Kagura, saying she wants to introduce them properly. She proudly introduces Reima as her childhood friend and supporter, making him feel a bit pressured. He politely asks them to take care of him during their short time together. The two S-rank adventurers introduce themselves: Kaiser Dragonia and Kana Tsubaki, who goes by Kagura. They both express their excitement to be working with the famous supporter. And so, fate brought them together. This was Reima's first meeting with the extraordinary people who would become his greatest allies, marking the start of a new, intertwined destiny. After school, Shiki catches up with Kagura and Ayane, explaining he was delayed by a teacher. Kagura greets him formally, showing her polite yet distant nature. Kagura notes Ayane's gloomy mood and asks if she's well enough to face the dungeon boss. Ayane, still fuming about Reima, insists she's fine. Shiki, ever the concerned friend, worries Ayane might have motion sickness and suggests they watch her carefully. Ayane clenches her fists, her inner thoughts revealing her foul mood is from a Reima deficiency. She declares she's in perfect condition, ready to fight. The scene shifts to the start of the dungeon stream. A mechanical dragon, one of Kaiser's summons, flies into view as the broadcast begins. Kaiser makes a grand entrance, theatrically welcoming his viewers. The live chat buzzes with greetings, revealing his real name is Tanaka, much to his persona's dismay. Elsewhere, Reima and Asahi watch the stream. This field trip is a hands-on learning experience where each group will stream their progress. Asahi thinks Kaiser's team is cool, while Reima feels a sense of familiarity with Kagura. In a surprising twist, Kaiser introduces Reima and Asahi as his partners for the day, both students from the prestigious support department. The two students look incredibly awkward under the sudden spotlight of a famous S-ranker's stream. Onlookers are surprised, knowing that getting into Meikyu's support department is incredibly difficult. Reima politely introduces himself, promising to do his best to support the team for the day, trying to live up to the reputation of his other self. Asahi also introduces himself as an enchanter, specializing in buffs, though he admits he's not good in chaotic fights, showing his earnest personality. Kaiser continues his grandstanding, declaring himself a seeker who commands dragons. The stream chat seems to be amused by his overly dramatic persona. He explains the event. He and Kagura are leading student teams, and viewers can watch the students' perspectives on a separate channel. Kaiser holds up a large crystal, encouraging viewers to find their new favorite adventurer. Reima looks on, confused by the object. Kaiser explains it's a rare transfer stone that will warp them directly to the 15th floor, so they don't steal the spotlight from the other students. Reima remembers from the notebooks that these stones can be extremely valuable. Kaiser tells them to get ready to teleport. Reima crushes the crystal in his fist, activating its magic. In a blinding flash of light, they are whisked away, leaving Reima and Asahi looking startled and disoriented. They arrive in a vast cavern deep within the dungeon. Kaiser explains this is the mid-level area where their target, the Cyclops, resides. He will be the main fighter, but he tells his audience to watch his supporters' movements. Asahi wonders what kind of support Reima will provide with his unusual weapons, and the stream's viewers share her curiosity. Kaiser admits he's also eager to see what Reima's cool-looking guns can do. Reima explains his black revolver, Noir, is loaded with debuff and lightning magic. The white one, Blanc, contains support and fire magic, allowing him to provide flexible aid from up to 40 meters away. He decides it's better to demonstrate, as monsters are approaching. He tells Asahi to prepare buffs for Kaiser. A horde of orcs and winged beasts suddenly swarms them from all sides. Asahi gets ready to cast speed and strength buffs, while Reima announces he will handle the debuffs. He fires a single shot from Noir, aiming to lower the lead monster's defenses. A burst of black energy from the magic bullet envelops the monster. To everyone's shock, the monster's upper body explodes. Kaiser asks in surprise if Reima's weapon can also attack. Reima, sweating nervously, realizes he miscalculated the power output. He awkwardly plays it off, saying it, sort of, can do that. Kaiser is impressed, noting the shot had as much power as his own punch. He asks how much magic Reima used, but Reima deflects, pointing to the now enraged monsters. Reima reflects on his mistake. He's not good with fine control and was trying to use minimal power to maintain his role as a supporter, but he overdid it. The monsters charge, seeking revenge. Reima fires again, this time releasing a cloud of mist that slows the entire group of monsters. He tells Kaiser to charge in, but Kaiser hesitates, unsure if the mist is safe. Reima reassures him the mist will vanish in 2 seconds, but the slowing effect will remain. Trusting him, Kaiser transforms his arm into a dragon's claw and slices through the entire slowed horde in a single, devastating swipe. With the ground troops gone, only flying gargoyles remain. Reima switches to his white gun, Blanc, ready for the next phase of the fight. Kaiser transforms his legs and asks for a leg strength boost to take on the aerial enemies. Kaiser leaps into the air as Reima fires a support bullet from Blanc, perfectly timing the buff. Reima's focus is absolute, as he provides pinpoint support from the ground. With his enhanced strength, Kaiser crashes down on the gargoyles, shattering them with a powerful stomp. Their flawless teamwork clears the area in moments. Kaiser is overjoyed, praising Reima for being the first person who could truly keep up with and support him. He also gives credit to Asahi, whose buffs were a huge help. Asahi blushes, happy to have been useful, and Kaiser comments on how cute he is. Reima deadpans. Just so you know, Asahi is a guy. The revelation leaves both Kaiser and Asahi speechless. The group arrives at the final door of the mid-level. Kaiser is confident the Cyclops will be there as Yandere's team is busy on the lower floors. They enter the boss room to find not 1, but 3 Cyclopes, a clear sign of a dangerous dungeon irregularity. One of the Cyclopes, an archer, draws its bow, aiming to take them out from a distance. Reima reacts instantly, casting a protective shield that blocks the massive arrow just in time. He warns Kaiser about the irregularity and asks if he can handle the increased pace. Kaiser grins, excited by the challenge. To even the odds, Kaiser decides to summon his sworn friend. Reima is stunned, realizing that Kaiser, like himself, is a summoner. A magnificent silver dragon Valkyria materializes in the cavern, her presence radiating immense power. Kaiser declares they will now show the true value of a dragon knight. Reima knows this is no ordinary boss fight. They're facing a powerful mutant variant, Asahi. worries about Reima's role in a fight of this scale. Reima simply says he will do his job as a supporter and try not to get in the way. Inwardly, Reima focuses. He must perfectly mimic the original Reima's fighting style without revealing his own overwhelming power, a difficult test of his control. Kaiser, with his limbs partially transformed, stands beside Reima, ready for a real fight after so long. With a roar of excitement, Kaiser and Valkyria charge toward the Cyclopes. Reima stays back, taking aim with his revolver, Noir. He fires precise shots, supporting his S-rank ally from a distance. As Kaiser and Valkyria engage one of the Cyclopes in close combat, the battle rages. Reima is astonished to see his magic bullets automatically curve to avoid hitting Kaiser, a feature he didn't know the guns had. He marvels at his other self's genius. For someone with no magic, creating weapons that could store and perfectly control magic was everything. By optimizing every aspect of the support process, the original Reima had created the most efficient system possible with zero waste. Reima updates the debuff on the Cyclops and calls for Kaiser to attack. He reflects on the incredible skill required to use these weapons effectively. It demands constant shooting with perfect timing, a feat impossible for any normal person. These weapons were truly designed for someone with the original Reima's unparalleled knowledge and experience. The Cyclops' eye cracks under the pressure of the combined assault. Kaiser coordinates with his dragon, preparing for a final, ultimate attack. Riding Valkyria, Kaiser unleashes his Vald Drago Spear, a devastatingly powerful lance of energy that completely obliterates the first Cyclops. With two foes remaining, Kaiser asks Reima for his strategic analysis of the situation. Reima points out that the dual-wielding boss won't engage until they defeat the archer. Kaiser agrees, noting that his dragon is at a disadvantage against bows. They need another attacker to break the stalemate. Asahi feels helpless, wishing he could fight, but Kaiser reassures him, telling him his buffs are amazing and a huge help. Reima adds his praise, telling Asahi to be proud. With Asahi handling the buffs, Reima can focus his full attention on debuffing the enemies. Reima thinks to himself that without Asahi's support, he would be at his limit, trying to perfectly mimic the original Reima's complex fighting style. Kaiser ponders their next move, unsure how to break the formation of the remaining two bosses. Reima steps forward, an idea forming in his mind. He turns to the S-rank adventurer and asks a bold question. "Could you lend me your partner for a bit?" Kaiser is taken aback by the audacious request. Reima lays out his plan. Kaiser will handle the archer alone, while he takes on the final boss with Valkyria. Kaiser scoffs, doubting anyone else could possibly keep up with his dragon. Reima meets his gaze with fierce determination. "Let me try," he insists. "It's the only way." Kaiser studies Reima's eyes, searching for any hint of doubt. He sees only pure, unwavering confidence. This is no bluff. Kaiser bursts out laughing, agreeing to the insane plan. He claps Reima on the shoulder, entrusting his partner to him with a wide grin. But his expression turns deadly serious as he adds a warning. If Reima's performance is anything less than perfect, he will kill him. Reima smirks back, his confidence unshaken. He knows the sacred bond between a summoner and their beast better than anyone. "Leave it to me, Kaiser," he replies. Asahi watches in stunned silence. It's unheard of for Kaiser to entrust Valkyria to anyone. This is a sign of his immense respect for Reima's abilities. Reima feels the weight of that trust. He knows this is a rare opportunity, and he is determined to succeed. He also sees this as a chance to build a bridge for the original Reima, creating a powerful connection for when he eventually returns. He gently pats the massive dragon's head, telling her not to worry about him and to move at her full power. He leaps onto Valkyria's back, ready to match her every move. He begins rapidly casting a barrage of enhancement spells. He boosts her speed, attack, claw strength, breath power, doubles her holy attribute, and expands her range, a flurry of buffs that will last only 3 minutes. He knows they need to end this fight quickly. He must execute a perfect strategy while the buffs are active. Kaiser, with his limbs transformed into dragonic appendages, eagerly challenges the archer. At the same time, Reima and Valkyria charge toward the final boss, the dual-wielding Cyclops. The Cyclops finally begins to move, its body tensing for battle. Reima smirks. "Finally moving, Cyclops!" The monster swings its massive swords with incredible speed. Raima fires 2 precise shots from his revolver. The magic bullets hit the swords mid-swing, instantly dulling the material and reducing their speed. Valkyria crashes into the slowed Cyclops, knocking it off balance. "Breath, please!" Rima commands. Valkyria unleashes a massive torrent of holy fire, engulfing the monster. The Cyclops roars in agony, trapped in the sacred flames. But the archer is not finished. It fires a powerful shot not at Kaiser, but at the main boss. Rima and Kaiser combine their magic, preparing a devastating finishing blow. They unleash a massive bolt of lightning magic, Tonnerre Infernix, striking the Cyclops with overwhelming force. As the smoke clears, Kaiser asks, "Did we get it, my friend?" Rima replies that Kaiser did good work too. Kaiser is amazed, asking how Rima can also enhance summoned beasts. Rima sweats and lies, claiming the enhancements are registered in his gun. Kaiser is incredibly impressed, saying not even his strongest companions could provide support on that level. Rima thinks to himself about the true Rima's genius. It shouldn't be possible to pack multiple buffs into one bullet without it exploding. He reflects that he only managed to mimic the technique by using his own immense magic power. All the praise truly belongs to the boy who designed it without any magic at all. Kaiser is still buzzing from the fight, excited to have taken down a powerful A-rank Cyclops. Rima, however, is deep in thought. The notebook said Cyclopes were only B-rank. This mutant variant was far more dangerous than expected. Kaiser celebrates their victory, holding up a transfer stone dropped by the archer, ready to return to the surface. But a tiny mechanical dragon messenger flies in with an urgent warning. "Go to the lower levels right now. Lady Ayane's group is in danger." The messenger explains that Ayane's party has encountered a massive S-rank stampede, and they are at their limit. Kaiser immediately issues orders. He will go to help Ayane's group. He tells Rima, Asahi, and Valkyria to advance to the lower levels to assist. Asahi looks terrified at the sudden turn of events. Kaiser tells them to alert the surface and call for reinforcements, as the scale of the stampede is unknown. Rima remembers that his best friend, Shiki, is also in Ayane's party. "I'm going too," he declares. Asahi tries to stop him, saying it's too reckless to face an S-rank threat. Rima looks at her with grim determination. He asks her to keep it a secret from Ayane and Shiki. If his friends are risking their lives, he has no choice but to go. He knows the risks. His identity might be exposed. He might be killed again. But if he can't protect the people precious to the Rima of this world, then his second chance at life is meaningless. Asahi watches in stunned silence as a massive, complex summoning circle fills the cavern around him. "Triple summon," he chants. Lycoris, Luna, Sol, and his other powerful beasts materialize around him, a pantheon of mythical creatures ready for battle. With a confident, almost reckless smile, he tells Asahi not to worry. "I'm going to save everyone real quick." For the first time in this new world, he has revealed his true, overwhelming power. Asahi watches him go, knowing Rima is not someone who would betray them. But a deep sense of anxiety fills her heart. Rima feels the ghost of the executioner's blade, a painful memory that stirs his deepest fears. But even so, he rides on Luna's back, charging down into the heart of the danger. He sees the overwhelming swarm of monsters that have cornered his friends. Ayane and her team are struggling against impossible odds. With a determined look, Rima knows he must save Ayane and the others. Kagura spots their arrival, seeing it as a stroke of incredible luck. Ayane and Shiki are barely holding on. Ayane desperately wishes for Rima's support. Kaiser joins the battle but notices his dragon, Valkyria, is hesitating. She is staring at the approaching reinforcements, sensing a familiar and overwhelmingly powerful presence. Luna and Sol, now in their full battle forms, let out a synchronized roar that sends a shockwave through the monster horde. The powerful blast stuns the entire swarm, giving the beleaguered adventurers a moment to breathe. Rima and his beasts arrive in the middle of the battle, creating a clear path through the chaos. Kagura is shocked by the sudden turn of events. Everyone is stunned by the arrival of these mysterious and powerful reinforcements. Ayane immediately recognizes the cloaked figure. "The mysterious one draped in jet black?" she exclaims, a hint of excitement in her voice. While Kaiser is busy admiring the newcomer's cool robe, Shiki and Ayane are suspicious of the perfect timing. Shiki notes that even though he can see the figure clearly, He can't make out any details under the dark robe. Though they helped, Ayane is still cautious. "Who are you?" she asks. Rima, his voice disguised, explains that he saw the stream from the surface and came to provide backup. He assures them he has no intention of getting in their way. Kaiser, though still wary, sizes him up. He knows this summoner is skilled in support, attack magic, and close combat, but he wonders what else he's capable of. The monsters are recovering and are about to attack again. Rima declares that they can talk after the fight and tells his beasts to get ready. He gives his orders. Luna, Sol, go all out. Crush everything. Lycoris, you charge in. Drown them in poison. The mighty Hydra hisses, ready to unleash her deadly power. His beasts leap into action, a storm of ice, fangs, and a terrifying poisonous mist. He warns the adventurers to stay away from the right side and not to touch the mist. Though it's harmless to humans, it's still genuinely dangerous. The S-rank adventurers can only watch in shock as the right side of the battlefield is completely annihilated by the wave of black poison. Kaiser is stunned. "Those wolves are seriously insane, aren't they?" Shiki agrees, admitting they are among the highest-level monsters he's ever faced. Kagura points out the five-headed dragon, Lycoris, and the A+ rank monsters it's killing instantly with its poison. The poison is so terrifyingly effective, they don't even have room to fight on that side. Shiki asks Ayane for her opinion, knowing this newcomer is dangerously powerful. Ayane smiles, believing he must be a good person. If he were an enemy, she reasons, they would all be dead already. Kaiser laughs, agreeing that anyone that cool must be a good guy, earning him a sharp rebuke from Shiki. Kagura sighs at their bickering, telling them to keep their guard up. But she's already moving, not waiting for anyone's opinion. She's a battle maniac, always eager for a good fight. She easily keeps pace with Rima as he runs, exclaiming, "Black Robe, you're fast!" Rima is shocked. He's using his maximum physical enhancement. He can't believe she's keeping up with him. Kagura points to a flaming halo above his head, asking what it is before getting back to the point. What is he doing? He explains he's preparing a spell by collecting the residual heat from her flame attacks, all while taking out smaller monsters. She's amazed at his ability to control the remnants of another person's attack. He tells her he can manipulate any magic as long as the energy remains. She asks what he's planning. She sees he needs flames and offers to lend him some of her own. He looks at the ominous black flames swirling around her katana and notes that they look terrifying. She explains it's a secret technique passed down in her family, asking if it looks cool. He tells her he needs one big attack. Understanding, she summons a massive chimera for him to use as fuel. A wolf-like beast attacks the chimera. Rima unleashes a powerful blast, hitting the chimera from the side. Kagura faces down a swarm of giant snakes. She cuts through them with her dark flames, adding even more energy for Rima to gather. Rima now holds a massive ball of concentrated fire in his hand, enough to wipe out all remaining enemies. He unleashes the cruel sun lance, a massive spear of light and fire that obliterates the rest of the monster swarm. The battle is finally over. Rima's beasts play among the defeated monsters. Ayane and Shiki stare at him, completely silent and in awe. Rima fidgets under his hood, unsure of what to say to them now that the fight is won. He decides it's best to just slip away quietly before they can ask too many questions. But a system announcement echoes through the dungeon. The stampede has broken through, and the threat level is rising, initiating a special trial. A vision appears before them. They see the origin of all beasts, a primordial being born on the first day of creation, an adversary of the gods. This is the ultimate summon, a calamity that rules over all magical beasts. Its name is Behemoth. A massive, glowing foot slams down from the sky, its sheer size shaking the entire dungeon. The colossal behemoth appears before them, roaring with primordial fury. Kagura shouts a warning, telling everyone to stay close as she prepares to block its charge. But Rima is already moving, sliding across the ground as he summons his ultimate defense. Aegis, divine shield of the storm! Behemoth, in its mindless rage, stops short, its single eye wide with what looks like genuine shock. The shield holds firm against the beast's immense power, sending the creature stumbling back in confusion. Kagura immediately coordinates with Shiki, who provides her with a barrage of support buffs as she leaps onto Valkyria's back. Ayane, her body glowing with cold energy, declares that she will handle the smaller monsters that are reinforcing Behemoth. Kaiser calls for Kagura to join him in a synchronized ultimate attack, one that he will unleash with Valkyria. Kagura draws her blade, preparing to unleash her family's most powerful secret technique. Her eyes are ablaze with concentration and power. "Take our absolute best!" she shouts, as she and Kaiser prepare to strike as one. They unleash their ultimate attacks. Kagura's reality slicing, severing the eternal darkness, and Kaiser's Valkyria catastrophe, a devastating blast of pure energy. Kaiser laughs in utter disbelief. Their combined, all-out attack only managed to deflect Behemoth's power. The colossal beast seems merely annoyed, shaking its head as if it was just bothered by a fly. Kagura grits her teeth, her pride deeply wounded. She calls for everyone to fall back and regroup. The heroes stand together, shaken by the primordial beast's overwhelming might. Rema turns to Lycoris, who notes that Behemoth seems to have a strong resistance to her poison. Rema knows that he might be able to defeat it by himself. But he also knows that if he unleashes his full power, his friends will likely be caught in the crossfire. He casts a binding spell, Gleipnir, wrapping Behemoth in divine shackles. He worries that if the fight drags on, the entire dungeon could collapse. Kaiser praises his quick thinking, but Rima grimly informs them the shackles will only hold for 3 minutes. He looks at them, his face etched with seriousness. He makes a selfless decision. "Run," he commands. "I'll buy you the time." But his loyal beasts simply let out a small, amused chuckle. They have no intention of leaving his side. Kaiser grins, his teeth looking like fangs. "Are you stupid, Black Robe?" Kagura gives a sharp, confident smirk, telling him he's underestimating them. Ayane smiles knowingly. She's seen this kind of reckless self-sacrifice from him before. Shiki sighs, admitting that leaving this fight to the S-rankers is the only logical choice. None of them are running away. Rema looks at his friends, a small, grateful smile forming on his face. He knew they wouldn't abandon him. Shiki approaches him, asking if his confident tone means he has a plan to defeat this monster. Realizing he has a plan, Shiki rallies the others, telling them their new mission is to buy time. The group quickly forms a strategy. Kaiser's dragon is a bad match for the fire attribute Behemoth, so he'll support Luna. Kagura will handle aerial attacks. Rima feels a moment of panic. He created this mysterious persona, and now everyone is trusting him completely. But seeing their determined faces, he pushes his doubts aside. They all stand ready, their faith in the mysterious Black Robe absolute. Rema is moved by their unwavering trust. He smiles under his hood, thinking that he likes these idiots. He summons Leviatine once more, a fiery determination in his voice. "Let's survive." He explains his plan. He will unleash the weapon's ultimate god-slaying magic, but it will take 5 minutes to charge. He needs them to buy him that time. Shiki knows it's a huge risk, but it's their only chance. Rima adds that they must keep the beast pinned down for the attack to work. Ayane volunteers to immobilize the beast with her ice magic and asks to ride on Luna for better mobility. Rima agrees, though he notices Luna is very unhappy about having to share him with another girl. Kaiser, still trying to make sense of everything, asks about the beautiful woman standing calmly nearby. Rima explains it's Lycoris in her human form. Rema notices Behemoth is starting to break free from its magical chains. The entire team stands united, ready to face the impossible challenge. They will win this fight for the friends and companions who believe in them. Kaiser hands out glowing daggers to everyone, a blessing to enhance their powers. He calls them the Blessing of the Sun and Release of Instinct, powerful support items for the coming battle. Kagura takes her dagger, her eyes sharp and focused. Shiki holds his, ready to support his friends with everything he has. Ayane accepts hers, her face a mask of cold determination. Lycoris watches from the side, her own power ready to be unleashed. Rima is taken aback by Kaiser's generosity and leadership. "Operation start!" Shiki shouts, and the final battle begins. The heroes move as one, a coordinated force against a godlike beast. Rima raises Leviatine, its tip glowing as he begins to gather an immense amount of magical energy. He notices that Behemoth isn't targeting them. It's ignoring them, intent on punching a hole through the dungeon's ceiling to gain its freedom. Rima shouts at Shiki to calm down, reminding him to focus on his role and not let his emotions get the better of him. Shiki smirks and calls out to the beast, taunting it. Kagura flashes past, warning Behemoth that she'll take it down if it lets its guard down for even a second. She unleashes her sword-edge technique, a blur of slashes. Her body is imbued with her family's Shura power, turning her into a demon on the battlefield. She glides across the floor, her movements impossibly fast. Her blade cuts deep, proving her mastery. She relishes the challenge, noting it's been a while since she's had to go all out like this. At the same time, Kaiser fully transforms, his entire body covered in dragon scales. He soars into the air, a living weapon of immense power. He prepares to dive, his draconic form radiating energy. He slams into Behemoth with incredible force, a grin on his face. Asahi watches, amazed that both S-rank heroes are using their full power. Ayane, riding Luna, looks completely at ease, as if she and the giant wolf were born to fight together. She creates a path of ice, gliding across the battlefield. She unleashes her icefall technique, encasing Behemoth's legs in thick magical ice. Enraged by the constant attacks, Behemoth lets out a mighty roar. It shatters its ice prison and breaks free from the last of its magical shackles. The beast unleashes a powerful blast of energy from its mouth. Rima cries out a warning, realizing that Kaiser is directly in the path of the attack. But Shiki calmly places a hand on his shoulder, telling him to stay calm. Kagura appears beside Rima, startling him. He's so focused that he didn't even sense her approach. Behemoth charges, ready to crush Kaiser, but Valkyria bravely stands in its way, taking the full force of the devastating blow. She doesn't falter, a testament to her absolute trust in her master, Goro. The dragon's powerful scales absorb the impact. Kagura is amazed by their bond and Kaiser's incredible control over his summoned beast. Valkyria retaliates with a powerful tail swipe, sending the primordial beast stumbling back. Rima sees his chance. This can work, he thinks, a plan forming in his mind. He's amazed at how well Luna and Ayane are synchronized, and Sol is moving in perfect harmony with Kagura, creating a deadly dance of fangs and steel. But Rima senses something is wrong with Sol's power. The magic he is channeling to her isn't being used to its full potential. He knows the bond between a summoner and their beast is the source of true strength. It's how he became a hero. He can support Luna just fine, but Sol's power is weaker here. Something is wrong. Shiki snaps him out of his thoughts, asking how many minutes are left. Rima tells him to hold on for 3 more minutes, and Shiki relays the message to Ayane. Ayane hears him loud and clear. With fierce determination, she declares, "I'll push through." She unleashes a storm of endless ice blades, creating a blizzard of sharp ice shards. Behemoth roars in fury, shaking off the ice. It gathers its power, preparing a massive counterattack. It unleashes a devastating shockwave that shakes the entire dungeon. Rima and Shiki brace for the impact. Rima's eyes widen in horror as he realizes what's coming. Behemoth summons a meteor of pure energy from the sky, a simple but terrifyingly powerful weapon of pure mass. Rima stares in shock, knowing they can't possibly survive a direct hit.